Okay, today is May the 14th, Sunday evening, just after the weekly close. Let's do the market outlook and plans for the week ahead. To start off, I need to do a quick preface that I'm fighting a cold, so you're going to have to go ahead and excuse the inevitable throat clears. Let's go ahead and get into things, though. Let's start off with the news events. So this week, we don't have too much going on. On Thursday, we have unemployment, which is not really something that we care about necessarily. On Friday, we have Powell and Lagarde speaking at two different events. That's going to be something that's definitely going to produce vol. There's two ways you can kind of play it. You can anticipate trading on it because it will probably produce vol. Or you could just trade Monday through Thursday and take Friday off. Realistically, for most of you, taking Friday off is probably going to be the play. So there's not too much going on, so we don't need to focus on that. Let's go ahead and get into the benchmarks. Let's cover the S&P. So where we're at with the S&P is that ultimately nothing's changed. We're just continuing to see the development of this kind of, more immediate range that is taking place into the larger range high. So ultimately, nothing's changed. I think that, if I had to guess, that we should pull back to mid-range, which ultimately this is going to line up really well with my Bitcoin plan. So that's kind of why I'm continuing to lean so heavily into this. So it makes the most sense to me that we have this range. We're going to, eventually break down from it. We're in the middle of May right now. Hopefully the sell in May meme kind of works out like it did in Bitcoin. So hopefully the S&P trades down to the 4K region. Like we've talked about, 3,900 is going to be in validation for that. I don't think that 3,900 is going to get lost. There's nothing wrong with us dipping below it, but it needs to get reclaimed pretty quickly. From this region finding support, we have about 5 or 6 different major overlaps over here in the 4K region. I think that we'll find a bid here, and that will play out the continuation of this trend channel that we've been playing out all of 2023. So just continue this zigzag pattern up, mark out our next higher low before our next higher high. So nothing changed on the S&P. This lines up really well with my Bitcoin plan. I think that Bitcoin is definitely in the process of bottoming out here soon. So let's go ahead and get into that conversation. So like we had talked about several times now, the rejection play, which I did delete off my chart, is playing out. So now I think that we're entering into the buy the dip stage. The price action that we saw on Friday, big liquidation event, very large stop outs into last year's VWAP, and we got a nice response from that. I did trade that, and my feel watching that play out was that is definitely the beginning of the bottoming process. So I think we're in the early stages of this taking place. We have lots of overlapping supports. If we look at the comps, right, we have the macro composite high. It's conveniently going to be overlapping with current year's VWAP and the low volume node. And there's a few other things I could point out, but those are the main things to pay attention to. So as far as bigger picture goes, I think that, staying flat, which I currently am, I've been flat for a while and I've been hedged for quite some time. The play is to remain hedged, and then start to build up that long position pretty soon. So I think that we trade down a little bit lower, which is going to ultimately line up with what I was saying with the S&P. So hopefully all of our benchmarks trade down a little bit lower. We find some sort of bottom, and I'm going to be probably pretty aggressive to play this. I've been waiting for a very long time. About 2 months now, I've been waiting for this opportunity to buy down here. So my invalidation's nice and tight. Basically, if we lose 24, so basically I'm going to have like 1,000 point invalidation. If I do a good job executing good entries, that's going to be really tight risk reward for, the potential upside play towards 34, 35. So that's what I'm looking at for a higher time frame. Let's zoom in a little bit on the lower time frame. We're getting a pretty spicy open here. Let's see how this ends up playing out. So as far as the immediate picture goes, the things I'm going to be paying attention to at the beginning of the week here are going to be the fresh weekly VWAP and this weekend comp. So we're selling quite harshly into the comp low. This is one of the tightest weekend comps we've had in quite some time. Anybody that was trading this weekend, I don't even know how you tie your shoelaces when you wake up in the morning. I would have never traded this range personally. 150 points is just, there's absolutely zero risk or reward there. It's just all risk in my opinion. I'm going to be using this for key context though, right? So, if we break down from here, which is probably the more likely scenario, especially with the way that we're starting, I'm going to be looking, to trade down early in the week, be leaning heavily into the bear bias. So, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I would be probably ignoring that on Friday because of the events that are taking place. That kind of gets invalidated when we do the fuck you or the get juked bitch play that we've talked about several times. I guess that's probably more in the Paragon group rather than the public section. But I will be looking for that play, basically reclaim the daily VWAP, and that's going to be on the table. I don't consider that too likely, though, based off how the start of the week is going here. So we're probably going to trade down into my buy the dip zone, like I said. That's pretty much it. So yeah, TLDR for lower time frame, pay attention to the weekend comp, pay attention to the fresh VWAP. Those will hopefully give us some sort of signs. I'm really not super interested in trying to be trading every little move on Bitcoin right now. My core focus is playing the higher time frame play. For more information, check out the Paragon group with the link below, where I cover everything from how I trade to how you can develop your own style. So the next conversation is going to be about altcoins. So let's talk about the strong alts, and then we'll talk about what my plan for the week is with altcoins. So there's very, very few altcoins that actually have a strong structure these days. We're going to roll through a couple that do. So first is going to be Tomo. So Tomo has ridiculously strong trend structure throughout the entire year. I actually really kind of missed this one for the most part, but it got put on my radar recently. So it's been one that I've been watching for like, I don't know, like maybe 2-3 weeks now. So I'm keeping a close eye on this one. The next one that I'm keeping a close eye on is going to be Kava. So Kava did this, basically we started watching Kava in the Paragon group once it started to show some strength here on the last stream. And as we can see, the rest of the weekend, it played out really, really strong, where it was able to trade to the opposite side of the band. So this is definitely not a region where I would want to look to long, but I definitely can see this being a decent argument. Just straight up gambling standpoint, the risk reward is absolutely there. So if Kava wants to pull back to this HVN, your risk reward is so tight on that gamble that it's almost worth it, for sure. So I'll be paying close attention to that. If Kava can maintain some strong trend structure, I would love to see it looking something like Tomo. I mean, this is the most orderly trend structure we have out of every altcoin. So Tomo is definitely the one to be paying attention to, but I had to respect the strength that came through on Kava recently. This is a big reclaim of strength. So I'll be paying close attention to that. I don't even remember what this shitcoin is, to be honest, but it got brought to my attention recently. And, basically kind of the same argument as Kava. Definitely a bit overextended, but if I think benchmark can flatten out and can trade upwards, this would be one of the altcoins I'd be looking for. The last one that we're going to be covering is going to be Litecoin. So Litecoin does not have strong trend structure at all, but sometimes you need to be a little bit more preemptive with these things. So I originally bought my Litecoin for this trend back in 2022, around $65 and $64. I don't remember exactly what my average was, something like that. I did end up taking profit, which I got lucky before this huge sell-off came. Somewhere in this distribution, I sold it all. The original reason why I bought that was because of the Litecoin happening, and I originally bought my Litecoin as a hedge against how bearish I was, because when we were trading at 15, 16K, I was pretty bearish on Bitcoin at the very beginning before the trend started. So I originally bought Litecoin as a hedge, and I think that Litecoin might end up being a play again because the halving is less than 70 days out. I think it's like 68 days away. So historically, Litecoin goes on some pretty massive run-ups into the halving. So I'm not positioned on this one yet, but it's definitely one that I'm watching very closely. Okay, and then the last altcoin that we're going to be covering is going to be Pepe. Now we're going to be covering Pepe for a completely different reasoning. So with Pepe, this is going to be the coin of choice for PvP this week. It was like that last week. I was on vacation for a little bit, so I was a little bit slow to start trading Pepe. But basically, once Binance Perps got listed, this became the PvP battleground of choice. So basically, every time you look at the scanner, this is going to be at the top. The only coins that are ever going to be topping it are occasionally your shitcoin where there's a big liquidation candle going through, and Bitcoin and ETH will top it. But pretty much consistently, we're going to see Pepe at the top here. I've seen every time I open up the scanner for about a week and a half now, Pepe has been in the top 3. And that's what I'm looking for with my shitcoin that I want to scalp. So there's no planning or anything. I'm going to have to make my plans the day of, right? Because we're still probably 13 hours away from when I'm going to actually start scalping this for the week. But I will be, definitely main goal for scalping this week is going to be Pepe. I imagine that this is where the majority of my trade volume will go through. As long as this activity maintains intact, then Pepe is the battleground. So anybody that wants the PvP, I'll see you in the books. But that's pretty much it for the week. TLDR is I'm waiting to buy the dip on Bitcoin. I'm going to mostly be trading Pepe coin. Cheers, guys.